Hey, this video is brought to you today by my friends at Element. Element is a tasty electrolyte mix with everything you need and nothing you don't. That means lots of salt and no sugar. Element was formulated to help anyone with their electrolyte needs and is perfectly suited to folks following keto, low carb, or paleo diets. Element contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio of 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium per packet. The perfect ratio I have found for me. What I love the most is that there's no junk, no sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers, no BS. As a member of our community, Element has a very special offer for you. You can claim your free Element sample pack simply by going over to the website drinkelement.com/MarcusPhilly to get yours. And if you're wondering what my favorite flavor is, raspberry salt mixed with some ice water is delicious. I hope you enjoy. Do you hate stretching? I feel you. Much rather get after a big lift or a sweaty Metcon? I'm the same way. But you know what sucks even more than stretching? Getting hurt. Not from overreaching, but from having less than ideal body positions. When you go to hit it hard, you run into roadblocks. Well, I want to simplify the stretching process for you. These 6 stretches have had the most profound impact on my ability to stay in the game, continue to give great effort in the gym, and not deal with nagging back, knee, shoulder, elbow, fill in the blank type of pain. All of which I have had in my lifetime. It turns out you actually don't need to do as much stretching as you think. You just need to hit the right positions, doing it consistently, and then have a training approach that reinforces those positions with full range of motion strength work and proper strength balance. In these past 5 years, I can confidently say that not much has progressed in my fitness. I actually lift less weight these days. I have maintained good aerobic fitness throughout, and I still look about the same, hovering between 7 and 8% body fat most of the year. So what has changed? Well, in the past 2 to 3 years, I have missed 0 training sessions due to injury or setback. I credit that to my commitment in the past 2 years to placing a higher value on my range of motion and mobility. At some point in every trainee's life, in your life, you will cease to make progress on your lifetime PRs. The game at that point becomes much more about staying in it rather than trying to win it. So here's my quick recipe for stretches that you can use weekly to stay in the game. For some of you, these stretches may unlock new potential and send your lifts and trainings to new heights. But for others and most of us, these are simple FBB solutions to winning the mobility game and then staying in your training consistently for more days every single year. Number 1, the couch stretch. To get into this position, I recommend using a bench. This is the ideal way to support your body weight as you get into this very intense hip flexor and quadricep stretch. Make sure that underneath your knee, it is padded. The flooring that I'm using is soft enough that I don't need an additional pad. However, if you have a hard surface, a hard floor, and you feel any discomfort on your knee, you are going to be distracted from this stretch and you need to find padding to put underneath your knee. There are actually 2 positions in the couch stretch that we're trying to enhance. There's the low position and the high position. The lower position is going to target more of the hip flexors, while the high position is definitely going to stretch a lot more of the quad closer towards the knee. If you find this stretch too intense, then slide your knee away from the wall and get yourself just a little bit of relief. Stretch number 2 is the incline pigeon stretch. For years, I tried to get comfortable in the pigeon stretch on the floor, and I was never able to get in a good position or feel a good stretch because my glutes were way too tight. As a result, I always felt myself uncomfortable and a lot of pressure on my knee. The incline bench is so valuable to protect the knee. It also allows those of us that are tighter to stay in an upright position, which allows us to also get a deep stretch in the rear leg hip flexor. You can easily set yourself up on this with more or less incline by just adjusting your bench, depending on your level of flexibility or lack thereof. If you feel like you're having to support too much of your own body weight, then regress this by moving your body closer to the bench. Bring that back leg in closer so that you're not getting as intense of a stretch on the glute or the rear hip flexor. The third stretch is the toes elevated toe touch. The ideal surface for this movement is going to be a slant board or a slight incline if you put a plate on the floor or you put your toes up onto a dumbbell or a weight plate. Once your feet are on your inclined surface, you're going to fold forward with your chin tucked to your chest, rounding your back, keeping your legs completely straight, and even flexing your quad muscles to pull you down further into the stretch. If this is feeling too intense, you can use a slightly regressed variation where you have less of your foot at an incline and you just have some of your toe box on an inclined surface. One variation of this that helps to get both sides an equal stretch is called the elephant walk single leg variation. This is where you alternate between straightening one leg at a time and keeping the other bent. If the full forward fold is too aggressive of a stretch for you and you can't reach your toes, that's fine. Place a bench in front of you to regress this. Hands supporting on the bench will be a safe way for anybody to practice this movement. Stretch number 4, the passive bar hang. It's important to understand the difference between passive versus active hanging. In active hanging, we keep our upper back very engaged, we retract our shoulder blades, and we pull them down. In a passive stretch, you're relaxing your upper back, and you are simply allowing gravity to pull you down as far as possible. I encourage you to try this with various grips. You can have your hands forward, you can have your hands neutral, or you can even turn your palms so that they face you. There is benefit to hanging off the bar with just your hands. However, over time, if you're spending long, extended periods in this position, your grip can start to give out. For that, I encourage you to have lifting straps that you can use. This can prolong your sets of passive hanging without your grip being the fail point while you're getting a stretch. Lastly, some of you might not be ready to support your entire body weight for 60 seconds to 2 minutes or even 3. Using a bench to regress is a perfectly good alternative. Place a bench underneath you so that you can support some of your body weight on your feet, and then you have control over how much weight you're actually supporting in your upper back. The 5th stretch is the ring chest bicep opener. For years, I've wanted to find a good chest and bicep opener because doing high-speed burpees, doing lots of ring dips, doing lots of bench press, and even bicep curls can leave me feeling a bit tight in my chest and my biceps. Getting into this position means first finding the right hand position. I like to keep the ring on the heel of my hand versus my fingertips. In the right position, there's a slight flex to the wrist, which is going to make it much more of a stretch on the biceps and on the chest and through the shoulders. Next up is the position of the hands. Are they palm down or palm up? You can see in these two variations, I want the palms facing the same direction as your chest, more towards the ground versus turned over and facing the ceiling. I love the ring variation of this because it's very easy to regress by just shifting your body angle, walking your feet forward. That takes some of the tension off of your shoulders, your chest, and your biceps. Lastly, if you want a different variation of this with dumbbells and a bench, you don't have access to rings, or the rings don't feel as comfortable, they feel too intense, you can lay back on an incline bench with dumbbells out at your side, really arch your upper back, and let the dumbbells hang to your side with your palms facing up. The 6th and final stretch is called the can opener. Think about your upper back, your thoracic spine as being the can, and you're prying it open over a fixed point in the medicine ball. Make sure that you position that medicine ball right between your shoulder blades and keep it in your upper back. We do not want the medicine ball down on your lower spine in your lumbar or sacral area. You're gonna wanna have something to anchor your hands to when you reach overhead. I always like a heavy kettlebell for this because it gives me two perfect handles in the right arm position to sit comfortably in this stretch for as long as I need to be effective. As you feel more comfortable, you can work towards more extended body positions where your feet and your legs are further out in front of you in a more straight and full body arched position. I want you to focus on arching through the upper back and less through the lower back. This is not a low back stretch. This is supposed to be focused on creating mobility in your thoracic spine, which really is mostly in the upper back. Why did I pick these 6 exercises? Because they cover the whole body. The first one was quads and hips. The second one was glutes. The third one was hamstrings and calves. The fourth got into your upper back, your lats, and your shoulders. The fifth got into your chest and your biceps. And the sixth finally got into your thoracic spine. To me, that's a head to toe, full body mobility approach with 6 simple stretches that you can do every single week. And you can get these in any way you want. Pick 2 a day and do them every other day or 3 times a week. Just ensure that you spend about 2 to 3 minutes per position, and that will be a good place to start. Remember, your training should reinforce these positions. If you train for flexibility in your quads and your hips, then when you go do single leg exercises, those training exercises should also reinforce that as well. If that's the case, then training combined with your mobility will take you very far. If you don't follow a plan like FBB that helps enhance these positions, then you might need to hit them 2 to 3 times per week for optimal success. My hope is that this gives you some ideas on how you can keep your mobility simple and effective. If you found this helpful, then please hit that like button below, drop me a comment, and definitely subscribe for future releases from my channel. I'll see you next time.